go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to continue the Champions League Matchday prediction series, with the second one coming up very soon. Now, in the last video for Matchday 1, it actually started off really well. We were getting everything right at the beginning. Obviously, some scorelines were off, but then on the final day of the week, things started to get bad, where I predicted an upset that actually finished in a draw, and failed to predict a different upset. 13 out of 18 on the first Matchday, in terms of getting the outcome right of win, draw, or loss. Can I do any better on this one? I think it will be more tricky this time around, as there's many fixtures that are 50-50. As always though, let me know your predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to leave an early like to let me know you want to see me continue this prediction series, and subscribe if you're new. Let's get into that first matchup of RB Salzburg versus Brest. Now, Salzburg got embarrassed traveling away to Prague last matchday with the 3-0 defeat. Domestically, they bounced back quite well. It started off slow, but then a 4-0 win in the Austrian Cup, and then beating Austria Vienna. Brest, on the other hand, were able to win their first ever Champions League match in history against SK Stuttgart 2-1. After that match, they beat Toulouse 2-0 and then lost 3-0. And overall, their season has been up and down. Salzburg do have quite a lot of injuries that maybe halted their success to a solid start in the Champions League. They held on to the ball for most of the match, but were not clinical at all against Sparta Praha. So if they want to beat Brest, they'll definitely have to improve on this front. I'm really torn about this fixture. It's one where anything's possible. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Next up, Stuttgart versus Sparta Praha. I just talked about Sparta Praha's incredible victory over Salzburg at their own home ground, destroying them 3-0. Their counter-attacking football was very effective, and they'll be going into more confidence in this Champions League campaign, as many people, including me, predict them to not do so well. Following their massive win, domestically back and forth results. They're still scoring goals for sure, but conceded 3 over the weekend to Sigma. Stuttgart, though, have been masterful this season. Some have been speculating how they would do without Girassi, but they're still flying high. They've still been scoring goals for fun. They only lost 2 matches so far against Freiburg, and then in the UCL against Real Madrid. They actually put off an incredible fight against the defending champions, though. Besides those 2 results, they have scored more than 1 goal every single match. Right after their UCL defeat to Madrid, they defeated Dortmund 5-1. No Girassi, no problem. Their striker options of Bosnia, Demirovic, and Undav have been next level. Both 4 goals already so far this season. Stuttgart are simply a joy to watch this season. I'm loving what the club's doing so far. So I'm sorry, Slavia Praha, although they should not underestimate you guys, I don't think they will. There should be loads of goals this match. I'm going for Stuttgart to win 3-1. Now taking a look at potentially an underrated match here, Dortmund versus Celtic. UCL finalist Dortmund, like we just talked about, lost to Stuttgart 5-1. Right after that, they had a frightening encounter with Bochum. They were 2-0 down after 20 minutes, but came back very well, scoring 4. Before all that, yes, they won their UCL Matchday 1 fixture against Club Brugge 3-0. So although Shahin still has a lot of work to do with this side, on paper, they should be the favorites against Celtic. But that being said, I think Celtic got lucky with the timing they have to face Borussia Dortmund. With the German side being all over the place with form and Celtic looking to demolish teams left and right, they'll be excited to travel to Germany to see what they're made of. Yup, in their last 3 fixtures, including the Champions League, Celtic have scored 5 goals minimum. You can argue they faced a weak side even in the UCL, but Brendan Rodgers is loving life right now. With some massive rivals in the club clicking together wonderfully, I would not be surprised to see their hot run of form continue in the Champions League. I said at the beginning, although I did say Celtic will probably be one of the teams to be eliminated from the competition, I would not be surprised if I'm wrong, and do not sleep on this side. And although I threw Dortmund towards the top 8, I might have to twist things here a bit. I will go for a 2-2 draw on this one. PSV versus Sporting now. This matchup will surely be entertaining. Besides PSV losing the first Champions League match of the season against Juventus, they've been with no surprise in elite form domestically. However, Sporting are on another level right now. In their last 6 matches, they have conceded no goals and scored 18. Even in their Champions League clash against Lille. Loads of those goals are many thanks to their phenomenal striker Gyökeres, who's already scored 10 in Portugal. This match could go either way. PSV have a lot of electric pace and can catch teams off guard, but I think this will be a Sporting victory. I think they might finally concede a goal, but the match will still finish 3-1. Now for one of the heaviest favorites of the competition, coming up against an absolute minnow, Slovan Bratislava versus Manchester City. Slovan Bratislava, the Conference League regulars, might be missing their old tournament after the previous Champions League matchday, where like I mentioned, they got destroyed by Celtic traveling away. They've been scoring loads of goals in their own domestic league, but can that form translate to the 4 in a row Premier League champions? Even with the squad not looking as sharp, Rodri's injury is a genuine shame for the club. They've drawn to both Arsenal, nearly losing to them, and also drawn to Newcastle as well. Speaking of draws, that was also their result against Inter in the last UCL clash. But even with the club not being at their highest right now, they know how crucial 3 points is in a fixture like this. I'm going for a 4-0 Manchester City away victory, although I would love to be proven wrong here. Good luck to Slovan Bratislava. Club that might be even more desperate for 3 points though is Barcelona, who are coming up against Young Boys. Barcelona have had such an eventful season so far, especially since the last recording. They got upset to Monaco 2-1, and it was quite a shock as their form was superb in La Liga. Many fingers were pointed at Ter Stegen for eventually messing up their game plan, being a big reason why Eric Garcia received a red card in the 10th minute after making a bad pass to him. Now unfortunately, the keeper who many were furious with has gone out injured for the rest of the season. So the club have now pulled Szczesny out of retirement to get him as a replacement. Looks like it was a needed move as Barcelona lost their first La Liga match this weekend to Osasuna, conceding 4 goals. Prior to that though, 2 victories, one massive one away against Villarreal. Young Boys lost to Aston Villa 3-0 in the first UCL match day and picked up a win and a loss in the Swiss League since. This is football, anything is possible, but similar to Manchester City, Barcelona know how important it is now to get 3 points in a fixture like this, so I'm saying they win this match 4-1. Now this one will be tough to call for real. Bayer Leverkusen versus Milan. Many reasons why you could back both of these clubs. Despite Leverkusen ending their unbeaten run earlier this season, their identity remains the same. They are scoring goals for fun and still sometimes leaving the drama till the end. After their defeat to Leipzig, they scored 4 goals in each of their next 3 matches, and then drew with Bayern Munich over the weekend. Massive statement in their Champions League clash though, clean sweeping Feyenoord. That being said though, let's not forget that when everyone expected Bayer Leverkusen to finish the entire season in every single competition undefeated, they ended up losing to an Italian team in the Europa League final. And now, they're facing a better one on paper. Milan have started the year quite shaky, but have now built momentum and confidence. They lost to Liverpool on the first UCL match day after blowing their lead, but defeated Inter and then 3-0 to Lecce. Pulisic has been on fire, scoring a goal in their last 4 games. This is just one of those matches where literally anything can come out of it. One of these teams absolutely embarrassing one another, or it being a really close affair. Infinite outcomes. I genuinely don't know what to decide. This probably is the toughest match to call for this match day. Although Leverkusen might be embarking some Italian trauma, I think they'll be able to overcome it and defeat AC Milan narrowly 2-1, especially since they're playing at home, and they might do it in some Leverkusen style, scoring in stoppage time. Moving on to Inter versus Crvena Zvezda. Inter, like I mentioned, drew with City in the last Champions League match day and then lost to their rivals. They came back over the weekend though, still conceding too much, but scored 3 against Udinese. Martinez back in form, getting a brace. Crvena Zvezda, on the other hand, put off a cagey affair with Benfica at their home ground, annihilated their rivals Partizan 4-0, and then got a narrow victory this weekend. With this match being played at the San Siro, I'm sorry to my Serbian brothers, but I do think Inter are the heavy favorites here. I'm going for a 2-0 victory. Next up, one of the most highly anticipated fixtures this week, Arsenal versus PSG. PSG were getting convincing results throughout the season, until they had to come up against Girona in the Champions League, where they just got a 1-0 victory thanks to them scoring an own goal in the 90th minute. After that in Ligue 1, they got a draw and a win. Arsenal, like we talked about, drew with Manchester City, parking the bus in that second half, but understandably so after getting that red card. But prior to that, they drew with Atalanta 0-0, a match where I had suspicion they would drop points, but I went all out and said they wouldn't even get one. That was a mistake thanks to their keeper Raya though, who came up massive against that penalty. But their most recent result over the weekend, they scored 4 against Leicester and conceded 2. 2 goals came after 90 minutes though. If not, it would have finished in a 2-2 draw. They've had a tough, intense schedule, and it won't get any easier as now they have to come up against PSG, one of Arteta's former clubs. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. It'll be a big test for both teams. Bradley Barcola has been in form, but Arsenal have a lot of individual talking points. Saka grabbing loads of assists, and Gabriel being a key defender who's randomly scoring goals as well. I do want to see an exciting outcome here, but I'm going to be boring and say it finishes in a 1-1 draw. Let's move on now to Shakhtar versus Atalanta. Shakhtar drew with Bologna 0-0 in the last UCL match day, and really failed to impose some kind of attacking display there, not getting nearly as many attempts on goal as their opposition. Their form has not been the brightest in the Ukrainian league. Some matches they are scoring loads of goals, but they are still caught lacking randomly. They are 4th with quite a point difference from first place Dinamo Kiev. So honestly, I'm not too hopeful for them since they have to face yet another Italian club. As we just discussed, Atalanta drew with Arsenal in the last match day 0-0. They'll be disappointed to not secure that penalty against Raya. Their form has been pretty bad though. They lost 2-3 to Como, giving them their 2nd victory of the season, and also picked up a draw against Bologna. The Europa League champions though recently have been known for being in questionable form and then turning up out of nowhere. So although this match can go either way, I'm saying they pull through here, getting a 2-1 victory over Shakhtar. Moving on now to Girona versus Feyenoord. Girona haven't won a match since the 1st of September against Sevilla. A tough schedule to be fair, having to deal with Barcelona back to back-to-back PSG, but then couldn't do much recently in La Liga either. Like I said, it was a close fight with PSG, with both sides nearly sharing points until they conceded that 90th minute own goal. Feyenoord, on the other hand, did not have a close encounter with their previous UCL opponent, Leverkusen. 4-0 defeat, and then in the Eredivisie, it's fair to say that they aren't looking as electric as they would be under their previous manager Arne Slot. Two sides that I do not feel comfortable banking on right now. I'm going for another 1-1 draw. Moving on now to Benfica versus Atletico Madrid. Benfica with that narrow victory against Zvezda last time, with their two Turkish assets getting on the score sheet there. Both of them are amongst the top goal scorers and assisters of the club right now, and will need to be the difference makers in a matchup like this. Of course, they've also got other key attackers. Palvidis is finding his footing, Di Maria with the experience. Their form has been much better, scoring 8 goals in total in Portugal since the Champions League, while Atletico only 3, dropping points to Rayo Vallecano and also Real Madrid. They equalized in that match at stoppage time. In the Champions League, they defeated Leipzig with a 90th minute winner. So this team at the moment really seemed to be relying on key moments and cutting it close. I think it will finish either in a draw or a 1-goal victory for Atletico Madrid. I'll go for that 1-0 victory, but we'll see. I won't be surprised if I'm wrong. Liverpool versus Bologna at Anfield, a match Liverpool definitely should be winning. Bologna are definitely able to catch the Reds off guard though. To their credit, they've been undefeated all of September. Their last loss was to Napoli 3-0 in August. Liverpool, despite showing they are not invincible in Anfield, losing to Nottingham recently, they bounced back well, defeated Milan straight after, and have been scoring 2 minimum each match since. The attack's looking incredible, the depth showing as well. They've been able to utilize the likes of Chiesa well, for example. I think Liverpool have what it takes to win 3-0 at Anfield. Going 2 for 2 in the Champions League and 2 for 2 against Italian clubs. Moving on now to Leipzig versus Juventus. I still can't wait to see what happens with Leipzig at the end after everyone was questioning my initial prediction video. My main reason for putting them so low was their tough schedule. And look, they had to face Atletico Madrid first, lost there, and now Juventus. At least they're home, but clearly it's not going to be any easier. Juventus under Motta are a new and improved side. Some questionable draws here and there in the Serie A, but they have yet to concede a goal domestically. That's not true for the Champions League, of course. PSV scored 1 against them, but they still won that match. Leipzig are a different breed though, of course. They're an energetic side that can definitely throw off Juventus' back line. They've also had some underwhelming draws, but over the weekend, a massive 4-0 victory over Augsburg. Šeško on his day is incredible, but Vlahovic already has 4 goals this season. I think this will be an exciting one. Juventus will be thrown off of their normal game, concede more than they're liking, but they will come out big anyway. I'm going for a 3-2 Juventus victory, but watch it finish 0-0. Moving on to Lille versus Real Madrid. Lille recently got shut down by Sporting, but their 2 fixtures after that scored 3 at each match. Jonathan David getting a hat-trick in the most recent one. Real Madrid now have Mbappe injured. Although that seems like a big loss on the surface, I think they'll be just fine with attacking options. In their last 4 matches, they conceded in every one, but have been scoring the goals as well. Just dropped points to Atletico over the weekend after conceding in stoppage time. I don't think this will be a perfect match for Real Madrid. It would be interesting to see them lose to a French club after Barcelona fell short to Monaco, but I do think they'll be victorious here 2-1. Moving on to SK Sturm Graz versus Club Brugge. Sturm Graz lost to Brest in their UCL opener, lost straight after 3-0 as well, and couldn't get a win till this weekend. While Club Brugge lost to Dortmund 3-0, I cannot help but feel that scoreline did not justify their performance. Brugge went toe-to-toe with them for most of the match, even getting unlucky with some opportunities, but Dortmund eventually found their way towards the end. That being said, things have not gone much better for them in Belgium. 4-2 loss to Ghent, and then a draw. So this one could go either way. Both clubs are not at their peak at the moment, but I'm going for a Club Brugge 3-1 away victory. Now for Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich. What an incredible game here, but Bayern Munich are an absolute nightmare in this competition. Trust me. But Dinamo are not the only victims. Bayern love to face Premier League clubs, especially this early in the competition. Aston Villa, with this being their first UCL since the 80s, I can't see them being victorious here. Although they do have a serious squad now, you should not underestimate. Bayern Munich are just different gravy in this competition. Love Kompany's attitude and response towards his critics. He seems to know exactly how to work with this squad. They just drew with Leverkusen this weekend, but Villa also drew 2-2 to newly promoted Ipswich. This one seems like it's got a ridiculous scoreline written all over it, so I'm going for Bayern Munich winning 4-2. I just cannot see Villa getting the win, but you never know. They're a great side, just coming up against an elite team. And finally, the last match we're looking at, Dinamo Zagreb versus Monaco. Yes, Dinamo were annihilated against Bayern in the last match day, 9 goals conceded, a feat no club has ever achieved in Champions League history, well done. It's been very eventful for the club since sacking their manager and then losing to Slovan 4-1 straight after. They won 4 matches in a row with losses at that point, but they came back in the Croatian Cup and then a 5-1 victory over the weekend in the league. Their form has seemed to return, but coming up against a club that just defeated Barcelona, that's a big asking. They haven't dropped form either. Their next 2 matches, they got solid wins. In fact, they haven't lost a match all season. Can the sheer quality of Maximir throw off Monaco enough to cause an upset? I highly doubt it. I'll say unfortunately Monaco went 3-1 away. Although please prove me wrong, Dinamo. Please just don't get embarrassed again, that's all I ask. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are all of my Champions League Matchday 2 predictions. Like I said, let me know yours in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. La cu noite.